Andrei Zherenkov said that he does not feel magic in Sofia Muravyova's skating. I like the way she looks on the ice, the way she skates. I always remember her last free program, Romeo and Juliet. This year her free program has everything: tension, emotions, and the finale, it's all there. But at the same time, Sonia is a girl by nature, by upbringing, and by cultural makeup. She is lyrical and sophisticated. And when she exists in her usual emotional forms, then this sophistication manifests itself, it is visible on the ice. Here we need to show more pressure. This must also be present in her, otherwise she would not be an athlete. But I have a feeling that she is almost telling her own story. I'm very glad that she won, and she won without a triple axel. Last year we understood. Sonia Muravyova is a triple axel, she performed it consistently last year. Now there is no axel, and this is also a question. The number of Ultra CS in women's singles in Russia has greatly decreased. Why do I ask this question at this stage? Valieva has magic. I agree, maybe not in this box office, but short, blues, yes, there is magic. Gorbacheva skates, she has a trick, she has talent. In my opinion, this is a figure skater who makes movements and through them transmits energy, these waves. The energy is felt in this girl, faster. Everything she does is these conscious gestures. Anya Pogorelaya skated at a young age, and you saw not a young girl, but an adult figure skater. And Muravyova skates and wins, but for some reason I don't feel the magic this year, said the commentator on the Skating Stroke podcast. Kamila Valieva got confused in the elements of the free program, and was left without a podium, the most memorable fragment of the Kazan Grand Prix stage. A few short explanations for those who missed it. Valieva entered a free cascade and 2 combinations of jumps, while the rules allow you to insert no more than 1 combination into the program, in addition to a pair of cascades. We will return to this detail later. At the box office, Kamila performed the same 2 combinations, although the second was slightly different from the declared one, triple toe loop instead of double. These 2 facts separately from each other could be attributed either to a technical error during the application, as it is fashionable to say in Russian figure skating, an input error, or to a mental eclipse of the skater on the ice, but together they clearly show. Valieva did what planned together with the coaches. The judges, we must give them credit, saw the violation of the rules, reducing the base for the last combination by 10 points. For comparison, Kamila was separated from second place Elena Gorbacheva by 543 points. And here the most important question is, how did this happen? Why did it Terry Tubberds, who always made the most of the rules? The most striking example was Zagitova's 7 jumps in the second part of the program, made such a stupid mistake. Probably. Valieva's transfer from cascades to combinations is a forced move by Tubberds, and her new attempt to use the rules in her own interests. It became a necessity after a combination of 2 factors. Kamila's obvious problems with complex jumping elements, which arose due to a complex of reasons: maturation, growth, poor physical readiness, decreased training loads, motivation. And changes to the rules adopted in the summer of 2022 at the same ISU, International Skating Union, Congress, where the age limit for figure skaters was raised. For Valieva, content is the second most pressing problem after the imminent cause verdict. Compare. In the Olympic season, Kamila mastered the quadruple toe loop, solo and cascade, quadruple Salchow and triple axel, and her technical base exceeded 86 points. Now, in an ideal world, her base is about 70 points, but virtual provided that the jumps still line up in some kind of logical chain. The quadruple toe loop, the last Ultra C element that Kamila is trying to introduce into the program, looks less and less realistic. Although last season Valieva initially fell from it, but she still recovered for the Russian Championship. The rest of Kamila's jumps will soon have their final dates. Her last Salchow was in the Olympic team. She tried her last Trixel in March at the Russian Grand Prix final unsuccessfully. Valieva and her coaches entered the new season with a difficult task. Not only to compensate for the loss of basic difficulty, but also to make Kamila's skating easier. Especially in the second part of the program, where her strength leaves her almost completely. And combinations are a completely working mechanism that allows you to maintain the level of difficulty in serial jumps, minimizing energy costs. To understand, The Olympic value of Voliva's cascades, with the quadruple toe loop, was 3592 points, and the current one with two gentle combinations would hypothetically bring 3379 points. Why combinations, since Atari's figure skaters rarely used them before? Let's immediately talk about what combinations are and how they differ from cascades. The combination is a sequence of 2 or 3 jumps that ends with an axel with a straight step from the landing arc, allowing one full rotation between jumps and touching the ice with a free foot. This is impossible in a cascade. There the landing leg must be the pushing leg for the next jump. Tubberts began introducing combinations into the programs of her students from last season. A triple flip with an axel appeared in Voliva, a quadruple toe loop with an axel in Sofia Akativa and Adelia Petrosian, a triple flip with 2 axles in Daria Sikova, a triple axel with a double in Nika Igits. But this is not a personal trend of the Atari name. The fashion for combinations in women's skating appeared last season, immediately after the ISU changed the rules. For example, in the women's free skate at the 2022 World Championships, only 3 out of 24 skaters performed a combination with a double axel at the end, and the very next year there were 13 such skaters. The situation is similar with the Russian Championship. In December 2021, only Lizita Tamashiva did the combination. A year later, already 9 out of 17 skaters. The fact is that before the 2022-23 season, the sum of points for combination jumps had a reduction factor of 0.8, so it was not economically profitable to jump them. Such rigor had a logical basis. Historically, the double axel combination was considered a simpler element than the cascade in terms of training, execution, physical costs, and risks. The explanation is simple. The last jump, in fact, is performed after a 1-2 second pause, which allows you to recover at least a little, and recover from the previous one. In the summer of 2022, the ISU Congress cancelled the reduction factor. But, realizing what kind of genie he was releasing into the wild, he changed one more rule, albeit from the paragraph at the other end of the rules. Compare Rule 612 in 2 editions. It was before the 2022-23 season. In a free program there can be up to 3 cascades or combinations of jumps. Beginning with the 2022-23 season, a free program can have up to 3 cascades or 2 cascades in 1 jump combination. These changes are recorded in the ISU Communique number 2494, dated June 30, 2022, but it cannot be found on the FFKR website, and the only link leads to nowhere. And no, this is not a hint that Tubberts' team could not find this particular document. The technical requirements also state the rule of 1 combination in the free program. But then what happened? This is definitely a mistake. There really aren't many options. The first and probably the most rational explanation is the phenomenon of loss of control and distortion of information. These are universal terms from economics that explain the mistakes of managers when increasing the scale of a company, or increasing the number of hierarchy levels in it. We do not know who was responsible for the selection and arrangement of elements in the Kazan version of Voliva's free dance. Tubberts herself, Sergei Dudikov, Daniel Blakingoz, or someone else. We don't know at what point this decision was made and what caused it. For example, at the test skates, Kamila showed a program without any combinations at all. But we see that Tubberts' attention is now extremely unfocused. The cause trial, the construction of an ice center, his daughter's life in the USA, and performances for Georgia, trips with students to international tournaments. And the Russian Grand Prix series is definitely not in first place in this line. In this kaleidoscope, could Atari have missed or forgotten that last summer the ISU introduced restrictions on the number of combinations in the free program? She may talk about this in her next big interview. But even if we admit this possibility, was there really no one nearby who would remember assistants, specialists, Kamila herself? And then a second, slightly conspiracy theory rises. This is not a mistake, but a challenge. A challenge to everyone: colleagues, judges, officials, the system. In a monologue at Slutsky, Atari clearly formulated that her figure skating exists in isolation from the reality in which everyone else skates. Are you crazy? What kind of ratings are these anyway? I showed Lakarnik Alexander Rafaelovich. How is this even possible? I swore. I tried to explain that it couldn't cost 0.19. Well, it can't. So they came up with something like this. Remember her passage about Trusova's jump, which also went against the rules and received a fair reduction, although the figures of 0.19 from Tubberts are incorrect. It seems that the rules for Atari are what limit her work, a thing that was invented. And although disagreeing with them is the same as arguing, for example, with the existence of offsides in football, aces in tennis or knockouts in boxing, Atari is sure that she has the right to do so. In the end, Irina Viner translated rhythmic gymnastics in Russia to her own rules, different from the world ones. Because it can, and who knows, maybe Valiva's two combinations are not only a way to ask Alexander Lakernik again. How is this even possible? But also the first step towards something much bigger.